Hey guys, what's going on? I apologize if my voice sounds a little bit off in today's video. Like it sounds deeper, higher, whatever. I do have the C virus, dude! And it's like I've had it for a few days and it will not fuck off. So, you'll have to excuse the less than stellar voice audio. But I wanted to get on here today and talk about the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater game, or Snake Eater Delta, because the game is very controversial online at the moment, and that is because of very, very big performance issues. It just so happens that Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta is the latest victim of UE5 and the performance issues that come with devs using that engine. I think part of it goes on the devs themselves for using Lumen and Nanite, but obviously the engine is very difficult to optimize as well. The only games I ever really see run well on Unreal Engine 5 are cartoony looking games like Valorant. Fortnite runs alright, but every single time devs go for photorealistic graphics in their game with UE5, it always runs like shit.
That shit is a two-pack of ass!
But like every single time there's performance issues in a game, the fanboys have to come out to defend their favorite product. You can't criticize, you must consume.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
And those fanboys are of course what we're going to be going over today, but before we get into that, I actually want to talk about the performance issues themselves that were outlined by Digital Foundry. At SynthPotato on Twitter says, "Major warning if you're planning on playing Metal Gear Solid Delta. The game runs terribly, with PS5/Xbox Series X rendering 720p to 1080p at 30 to 50 FPS in performance mode. The PS5 Pro somehow runs worse and looks blurrier despite using PSSR. Another disastrous Unreal Engine 5 release." And down below this, they attach a video from Digital Foundry.
Those explosive barrels all conspire to tank that frame rate during combat, and we're more realistically operating at between 30 to 50 FPS. I've taken the more run and gun approach in this case.
Gross. Sorry, 2005 called, they want their frame rates back. And I'm just gonna point this out, this is performance mode. You know, the mode meant to give you the best performance. I can only imagine how bad quality mode is. In fact, I think I saw a screenshot somewhere of someone getting like 23 FPS on it. Are we watching a fucking PowerPoint or playing a game here? By the way, I would like to point out that this game costs $93 Canadian for not even the highest edition, which is about $70 US. And this is what you get in return? I don't care how pretty the game looks. If it runs like shit, then it runs like shit. A cake can look as nice as it wants on the outside, but if you bite into it and you find out it's made with horse feces, is the cake still good? Not really.
But even sticking to stealth, this does sadly fall outside the VR window on PS5. In comparing the two PS5 machines directly with a matched route, the base model is enjoying up to a plus 7 FPS advantage over Pro hardware.
And they somehow managed to make the PlayStation 5 Pro players get a lower frame rate than the base PS5. There's your reward for buying a Pro. Oh man, it's just so frustrating when every release it feels like is like this. Now I know what the PC players are saying, I'm a PC player myself. They're saying, well on PC I can just get like 100 FPS. Nope, on PC you're locked to 60. But now, probably the thing you've all been waiting for, we're gonna go over some fanboy defenses. First, we're actually gonna go over some replies made to SynthPotato, and then we're gonna cover MBG. So let's get into some of the replies to SynthPotato first. Just prepare yourself for the amount of brain damage these posts are likely to contain. These replies are likely to contain. What did you want? 100 FPS on outdated AMD trash? Ah yes, because it totally isn't like the console version is indicative of what the PC version is going to be optimized like. Usually when a console game runs bad, the PC port isn't much better, but I guess that takes too many brain cells for this guy to rub together. Unreal 5 is a good engine. I don't care how many times I see crybabies screaming about it. Yeah, dude, we're just crybabies for expecting a 93 Canadian dollar game to not run like absolute ass. Why don't we all just lobotomize ourselves and have no standards at all? Oh wait, that would be retarded. The reason people are targeting UE5 is because it is basic pattern recognition that every adult should have on this planet. I think any person should have on this planet. And when the only games that run well on UE5 are cartoony style games, and there's like maybe 2 or 3 of them, people are gonna start to say, what's up with this engine? Why do almost all games on it run like shit? I mean, can you blame them? Black Myth Wukong is developed on UE5 too, and it performed well on PS5 debut. So it's a skill issue, not the engine issue, I guess. Yeah, once again, we're just lying right out of our ass here. Black Myth Wukong ran at 60 FPS on PS5 with frame generation, so the input lag you would get on the game would actually be more than if you were running at 30 frames a second. Also, the game didn't even run at a full 1920 by 1080 when it comes to the performance/60 FPS mode. So we're under 1080p and we gotta use frame generation to get 60 FPS. I'm not claiming that the game is bad or anything, but let's be honest about the performance aspect. Oh stop, the game is being reviewed fine. Performance included. That's funny because none of the reviews I see really talk about performance or flat out lie about it. The same thing was said about the Silent Hill 2 remake, and it was awesome. You know what wasn't awesome? The performance in that game. It ran about as well as a My 600 Pound Life contestant, and you gotta love how this dude actually uses journalist reviews. You got people on here giving the game 100 as if it's a flawless game when there are obvious performance issues pointed out by Digital Foundry. They're shills. There is no game I would ever give 100 out of 100. The highest I'd probably ever give a game would either be Doom Eternal, Mario Galaxy, or Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. And even then, they'd be in like the mid-90s/low 90s. But now we're gonna cover everyone's favorite PlayStation fanboy, known as MBG. When I played MGS3 Snake Eater on my PS2, it was 480i at 30 FPS, and apparently there were frame drops, and it didn't matter to me at all. In fact, it wasn't even a thought in my head back then. Just enjoyed playing the game and got completely lost in it. Kind of missed that. You know, it's funny that you can't keep that same energy when it comes to Starfield and Redfall, that are admittedly shitty games, and the actual game of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is good, but you get the point I'm trying to make here. When it's something he likes, he excuses bad performance. Now, this is just a great take here. Blame Digital Foundry. We should blame Digital Foundry for pointing out performance issues in the game, not the people who couldn't optimize it properly. How dare you point out the flaws in my product? I just want to consume. Oh, just get ready for this one. People crying because of frame dips are retarded. Yeah, apparently you're just some moron that doesn't know how to tie their own shoes if you dare notice issues with a video game and point them out. But he's a smart guy because he ignores every flaw in his product so he can be a mindless consumer.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
I played this masterpiece on my 12-inch screen at 240p and 15 FPS back in 1999. Now, I'm sure this is gonna be a groundbreaking discovery for you, but the standards in 1999 aren't the same as 2025, and I was the happiest kid in the world. Damn, those kids these days. They're so spoiled. So you admit yourself to being a kid back then. Kids are less critical of entertainment products. And since you were a kid, you likely got it with your parents' money, and you're less likely to be critical of something you didn't pay for. Incredible, dude. Now, I want to end off this video just saying this, okay? I got nothing against you if you want to buy this game, but I'm allowed to be critical of a product I'm seeing being sold for 93 Canadian dollars, over 100 once you add the tax on, running at these abysmal of frame rates. And before people try to strawman me in the comments, I am not saying this game is unplayable. I am not saying the gameplay loop is bad. I'm not saying the story is bad. I'm simply saying that the performance is unacceptable. And I want to remind you of my track record when it comes to me talking about the performance of games before they come out. Monster Hunter Wilds I predicted would run like shit on final release. It ran like shit. I predicted that Hell is Us would run like shit because of the requirements and recommended specs. It runs like shit. I predicted that Stalker 2 would run like shit. It runs like shit. Anyway, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike and a mean comment, and I'm out.